Okay, this is in response to someone had asked a question about number 16 on the most recent homework, 2(1), 2(3), and 2(4). And the problem reads 2y squared minus 17y squared minus 9y equals 0. And I believe that we are instructed to solve, if I double check. Yes, the problem tells us to solve right here. Okay. When I look at this problem, one of the first things I notice is that over here on the left side of the equal sign, each one of these terms has a factor of y in it. So what I'm going to do is factor a y out of each term. It's the largest thing I can factor out of each term. So by doing that, it leaves me with 2y squared minus 17y minus 9y, and that's equal to 0. All right. Now, one of the things that does for me is the part in parentheses is something that I can deal with now. I'm going to worry about this y on the outside of the parentheses later. But having this part in parentheses as just a quadratic equation allows me now just to do the AC method. Okay. Once again, with the AC method, our AC is going to be 2 times 9, and that really, by the way, should just be minus 9 because I factored out the y. 2 times negative 9 is going to give us an AC of negative 18. Then, of course, our negative 17 will be our B term. So remember, we're looking for two things that multiply to be negative 18, and the same two things add to equal to negative 17. I'm going to go with negative 18 and 1, because negative 18 times 1 equals to negative 18, and negative 18 plus 1 equals to negative 17. Okay, with that said, now we can rewrite the part inside the parentheses, at least the middle term of that, the negative 17y. We can rewrite that as negative 18y plus y. Okay, so I'm decomposing the negative 17 as negative 18y plus y. And it makes sense to me because if I was to go back and recombine these two terms right here, I would get back the negative 17y. The reason that I want to rewrite those like that with the negative 18y plus y is because now that allows me to do my factor by grouping. Okay, so what I'm going to do is change these outside parentheses to brackets, and I'm going to use the parentheses on the inside first two terms and second two terms like so. Now if I do my factor by grouping, from these two parentheses here, I can factor out a 2y. And that leaves me with y minus 9 on the inside. And I can't factor anything out from this y minus 9 right here. So I'm just going to leave that term as it is. Alright, that helps because now just paying attention to what's inside these square brackets. I don't care about that y right now. All I'm focused on is what's inside these square brackets. I can complete my factor by grouping. Okay. Normally with factor by grouping, what we would do is put in the first pair of parentheses the factor that's in front of this first pair of parentheses here from the previous step, plus or minus the factor in front of this second pair of parentheses from the previous step. Now, there's nothing in front of that second pair of parentheses, so it is understood to be a positive 1. Positive 1 because it's plus right here. If it was minus right there, it would be a negative minus 1. Okay. All right. Now, the second pair of parentheses are just going to be my y minus 9. Okay. So what I've done here is I've just focused on what was inside these square brackets right here from the previous step. And I broke that down, and I wasn't really paying attention, so to speak, to anything else. Now I'm going to bring the rest of it down. That y that was on the outside, and of course this whole thing is equal to 0. Okay? Now the rule says, when you go to do your solving, that you're going to take each one of these factors here, and you're going to set each one of those factors equal to 0 and solve each of those little equations. All right? Now, the rule says that if you have just a y on the outside, that you make one of your solutions 0. I like to make sense of those rules, and to do that, though, here's the way I think about it. The reason that if I have just a y by itself outside of all these parentheses that I have a solution of 0 is because just a y by itself like that is really the same thing as, in parentheses, y plus 0. I think everyone would agree with me if I told you that y plus 0 is the same thing as just y. And so if I think about setting y plus 0 equal to 0, it's going to give me that solution of y equals 0. You don't have to write this out every time, obviously, but it's just a way that I help myself make sense of that rule, why we make this y right here equal to 0 in this situation as one of our answers. For the rest of it, we're just going to set the 2y plus 1 equals 0, and we're going to solve. Real simple. 2y equal negative 1, and so y equals negative 1/2, because we divided by 2. And then, of course, y minus 9 equals to 0. We solve that, and we get that y is equal to positive 9. And there we have it, our three answers. If we go check and make sure that I did that problem correctly, that was number 16, 0, 9, and negative 1/2. And there we have it. And I'll cover the next few problems in the next few screencasts.